Monroe had very strong opinions on how the United States should deal with other countries. He made bold statements that it was not America's place, history, or duty to get involved with foreign wars, as long as they simply involved European matters. On the other hand, he was very supportive of other countries in the Americas which wanted freedom, because around this time, taking the example of the United States and then later France, many South American countries were trying to get freedom from Spain, Portugal, or whatever their European mother country was. He supported these countries very much vocally, and this led to what is the most remembered point about his time in office, what's known as the Monroe Doctrine. On December 2nd, 1823, he made this bold statement to Congress. The summary of this was that European nations could not consider the Americas theirs for the taking in terms of colonization. If they had colonies, that's fine. The United States wasn't going to get involved or hinder them in any way. But if colonies had declared their independence, that needed to be respected, and the lands which hadn't been claimed, such as those on the West Coast, were not to be colonized. He concluded that if any European powers tried to take over any of these lands, the United States would have to view it as a direct attack on our values of freedom and liberty. He even declared that he wasn't afraid to go to war to help these other countries, such as those in South America, maintain the freedom which they were declaring. So that's interesting to note that he was very interested in the policies of the Americas, but he didn't think we should get involved with the battles in Europe. And this might just seem like he was an American who only cared about what happened in his backyard. But if you look more at his early political career, you'll see that he was very well versed in European politics. He served as the American ambassador in both France and England before he became president of the United States. And interestingly, when he was in France, that was during what is known as the Reign of Terror. So this is after France had declared its liberty, the French people had killed the king, and this was before Napoleon came to power. But in the wake of this, there was a lot of killing, and it became brutal and bloody. So I think he'd seen firsthand how contentious those European conflicts could be, and I believe he also observed that getting involved and forming opinions about these foreign wars could cause a lot of disagreements back on home soil. Many other Americans, such as Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, and even Thomas Paine, who was one of the early writers about American freedom, became very unpopular because of statements and opinions they made about how the whole French Revolution was happening. I think he realized we have enough problems back in our own country without getting too involved with France, England, Germany, whatever country, and their problems over in Europe. Those are their problems. We'll worry about ours. Rather than try to bribe people into liking him, it was on his character and generally making people trust him that Monroe was able to gain such public favor. This is reflected by a quote which he famously said, "It is better to spread trust all around than to hand out money." He lived by this principle since he stuck very closely to his values about American freedom, and in both his addresses to Congress, his State of the Union addresses, and his personal writings, we see how he talked about the importance of maintaining the core values on which America was based. He believed it was very important for the individual to be educated and intelligent so that he could know about the virtues which are necessary to maintaining a republic. Another quote from him, which I really like, is, "Republics demanded virtue. Monarchies could rely on coercion and dazzling splendor to suppress self-interest or factions. Republics relied on the goodness of the people to put aside private interest for public good."